Now we'd like to introduce our Mayor, John Shadd, who has a few words for us today.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our 4th of July celebration here in Emmitsburg. Despite the clouds and despite the rain earlier, it is a beautiful day. On this Independence Day of 2009, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about snails. I have here a snail encased in an acrylic block. It looks like any snail you might meet on the street until you read what it says on the plastic block. This snail is over 45 centuries old. 4,500 years ago was 2,500 years before the time of Christ. The snail was alive about 2,500 BC, more years before the time of Christ than after. This snail was actually alive in biblical times, when humanity had broken the bonds of nomadic existence and conquered agriculture, but in a large measure had not yet formed the world's great cities. It was not a long time ago in geological time that human beings were far different than they are today and lived far different lives. And yet, in those primitive times, this little snail was living out its life in what is now Greene County, Illinois. Its remains were in recent years, dug out of an archaeological site known as the Coster Digs and entombed in this acrylic block. We don't know if our snail ever met a human being. There's a good chance, since this area of Illinois near the confluence of two great rivers was for many centuries a gathering place for Native American tribes. What can we here in Emmitsburg, Iowa, learn from a 4,500-year-old snail that lived just a few hundred miles from us? Perhaps the most important contribution this snail can make is to raise our awareness that things we do in our lifetime send out ripples far into the future. The very existence of this little snail 45 centuries ago is a topic of our conversation here this afternoon. We learn from it by putting its life in perspective of the things around it. Yet, it is just a snail. Not very highly evolved, not very smart in human terms, but here, nonetheless, presenting us with a very interesting challenge. That challenge is to look at what you and I are doing with our lives today and what we could be doing today that will somehow make a difference on the 4th of July, 6,509. That's 45 centuries from now. This snail did it. How can we do it? What can we do with our lives to make a ripple going out 4,500 years? There are a lot of answers to those questions, but only one that counts. We have to do something significant, something to benefit our town, our country, our human race. To capture this concept, just look at the names in our history books. The world knows about George Washington because he was a great soldier and politician. The world knows about Ben Franklin for a lot of reasons, but probably the biggest reason is that he flew a kite in a thunderstorm and started developing ideas about electricity. Sometime later, Thomas Edison made electricity into the electric light and got his place in the history books. But even these great people may not be known 45 centuries from today, when the very continents of the earth may have shifted so we can't identify a single landmass. The climates may not be recognizable, and even the human race may have evolved into something beyond present-day humans. Maybe we'll no longer answer to the name Homo sapien. Maybe those guys in 4709 will no longer have the Boston Tea Party in their history books. Probably they won't even have books at all, but learn the way our computers learn, through fast, accurate, and direct data input. Things will certainly have changed, and that itself lends us our perspective. The thing that you and I think are important today probably are not. We need to focus our attention on things that have long-term positive effects, things that will send out those individual ripples into the future and make our individual lives an important benchmark in human history. Is it a big job? Yes. Can we do it? Yes. We have a roadmap to follow. It's called the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Every time we do some small kindness for someone else, we send out a ripple that ricochets off that person and well into the future. That act of kindness will manifest itself into a reciprocal act by that person, who in turn will influence the next guy. That goes on infinitum. That's a ripple born of human intellect and human history. Theologians and religious scholars have preached it for centuries. Now it's time that we take that wisdom and put it into practice right here in Emmetsburg, Iowa. I live in Emmetsburg voluntarily. Nobody makes me live here. Nobody makes me stay here. I love the town, and as mayor, I'm working to make it an even better place to live. I suspect almost all of you are also living here because you want to live in Emmetsburg. I would appeal to you, do something today to make another person happy. Do something today to improve our town and our environment. Let's send those positive ripples out to others and make people wonder what got into this town that it is suddenly a happier place and a pleasant experience to be here. Let's work together to ignore human failings and bolster human kindness. And if others ask what got into us, why are things going so well, why does everybody feel so good, we can tell them that we learned it from our little snail. Have a happy 4th of July, everyone. Thank you.